2024 year-end review and 2025 kickoff. So we flew everybody in to Boise, Idaho for this event and just wanted to go over everything we did well, not well in 2024, and then setting our targets as a team the next day as a group. And we went over our core values and all that fun stuff. So I'm just going to go through the same presentation. We got some sweet gear ordered. This was a question that I asked the team that I think you guys should think about as well, even if you're not hiring. But this was our mission statement that we came up with is we want to help 1 million people within 10 years. And so in order to come up with the right core values to attract people to do business with and also to stay in our lane of what we want to do, question was a company capable of helping 1 million people in the next 10 years would have to be blank. So whatever that is for you, I think it's worth taking 3 to 5 minutes and going through that exercise. If you guys don't have a Google profile yet of who you are as a buyer, you definitely need to get one, and you need to start giving your sellers like a $25 Amazon gift card to get a 5-star Google review. This was the first year we've actually had sellers mention at our appointment, the reason why I called you guys, the reason why I went with you guys is because your reviews speak for itself. I think we're at a 4.7 or 4.8 rating right now, and I think we have 75 or 70 reviews or something like that. It's not a ton, but it's enough now after years of doing this to like have that brand awareness. And many of them are about like all the homes and people that we've helped without doing the contract. So it doesn't necessarily need to be somebody you did a deal with. Just asking people that you have had a good experience with to write you a 5-star review. Or if it's even friends or family members, the title company, we've had realtors we work with, contractors give us 5-star reviews. It doesn't matter. Anything to help your social profile. Very easy thing to do. So here were our 2024 wins. We helped over 660 people in Q4. So that brought us to just shy of 2,300 for the year. This is something we actually track as a team in Salesforce because we know if our people make it about the numbers, we're just another buyer. If we make it about the person and helping them in their situation and emotionally connecting with them, what do you know? You do more deals and you also get them at bigger discounts. So it's ironic. You have to change your mindset there if you're not at that point. That's why we track this, is because anybody new coming on the team, a lot of them come from different industries where they have this limiting belief where, hey, some of them come from RV sales, car sales. We have a guy that did home remodeling sales, and the negotiation was always like there's a winner and a loser. In our business, we don't get to do that. We don't have to do that because we get to solve problems. So we had a couple salespeople join. We had Michael was a salesperson we brought on in acquisitions. He did 8 contracts in his first 70 days with us. In his first just over 2 months, he did 8 contracts, which is crazy. We closed our biggest deal in company history in 2024, and we scheduled 125 appointments in 1 month in October, which was a company record. So those are all things that we wanted to celebrate as a team. Here are our actual numbers on revenue and our vision of getting to a $10 million a year company in top line revenue. Again, this isn't profit, despite what all the social media gurus want you to say and think. This is revenue. So we grew 72% in the past year, even though it was a real estate recession. So this is something that we were really, really proud about as a team and wanted to share with our teammates of, yes, we're not where we want to be necessarily, but we're making progress. And again, this is a rallying cry of who does the team know that can help us get there? So who can, know any salespeople that you can refer to us? We have a referral bonus. We got our operations manager, Tori, from a referral. So when you're looking at scaling like this, it definitely becomes a who, not how puzzle. And so what it'll take 2 acquisitions managers that want to earn over 175K a year and 3 lead managers that want to earn over 90K a year. There's a reason why we phrased it exactly like that. because we need people that want to make a shitload of money because it's a lot of work to get there. That's to get to the 3.5 million target for 2025. To get to the 10 million, we need five acquisitions that want to earn over 200 plus and five lead managers that want to earn over six figures. So that's our target for 2025 is we want to do 3.5 million this year. So almost double. We want to have roughly the same amount of growth again, which is going to be very, very difficult. So the number one way in this business, and this gets overlooked a lot, but the number one way to guarantee you're not successful is inconsistency. And you have to become consistent before you can become exceptional. This is a difficult thing if you're a high achiever, you're a high driver, you want things to happen now, or you, at the very least, you want the little wins or affirmations along the way that you're on the right track. Because without those, self-doubt starts to creep in and you start to question, like, am I doing this right? Am I saying this right to the seller? Am I am I doing something wrong? Like, why is everybody else having success and not me? And it's really not that. It's always your expectation that's the problem, not your plan. It's your expectation that's the problem, not your plan. Because it always takes longer, costs more, and is harder than you expect it to be. That's entrepreneurship in a nutshell. So even with people that we bring on our team, there's a reason we tell them, dude, it's going to take you 6 to 10 months for you to start seeing big paychecks. Most people, when I tell them 6 to 10 months, they hear six and then they're like, yeah, Ryan, but I'm going to do it in 3 or 4. That's your classic salesperson, high driver, right? And we do this to ourselves too. We always think we're better than we are. So then we put this like false timeline of expectations on ourselves. And we get to this transition curve that I've talked about before, where like we're really excited. Then we realize how hard it is. Then we have a crisis of meaning and self-doubt. And then we crash and burn and we try the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And we always recycle. We never really get to that part of renewed optimism or informed optimism where we can actually take action because we know all the shit that's about to come in front of us. This is our org chart. Look at how many vacancies there are. Holy moly. So how do we get to a 3.5 million target in 2025? It's all a hiring thing. All a hiring thing. So we reviewed, I had Tori give this slide ago. She's our operations manager. She's also acting as our recruiter until we have enough budget to hire a full-time recruiter. But she reviewed almost 2,300 resumes in 5 months. She had 339 15-minute screening calls in 5 months. In 5 months. I mean, this is for years, guys. I'll get vulnerable. I was frustrated because my sales team was just not good, and I didn't understand like what was holding me back from being able to like get myself fully out of the business, or at least be not fully out of the business, but at least not be the guy closing deals and like have to get on all the seller calls and stuff. And ultimately what it came down to is I just wasn't the right leader that I needed to be. I didn't have the skills necessary to be a leader, which is a hard thing to admit to yourself. You have to put your ego aside. It took me being in rooms that were bigger than me, seeing this common theme over and over again, and then somebody pulling me aside actually and saying, like, dude, the reason why you can't do it is because you don't have any leadership experience. That's okay. Just call it what it is. So I had to look internally and figure out how I was going to be a better leader to attract better people that want to have a growth and abundance mindset, that want to take on hard challenges and do hard things. But for years, I really struggled with completely underestimating the amount of work that it would take in hiring to get A players. But it's like that big wheel, that snowball effect. Is once you get a little bit of momentum, that snowball starts to become bigger and bigger and bigger and roll way faster down the hill. And as your brand becomes bigger, you don't feel like you're doing shit for multiple years. And then finally you start to see some people that come over to your team or that want to do business with you or want to JV with you or whatever it is because of that. But again, that all comes from a longer time horizon than we want it to be, right? We're not going to see success. We're not going to make the kind of money that we want to make as soon as we want to make it. That's just business. You guys have any questions so far? No?
Nope, nothing so far.
I think I've shown this before, but if I haven't, December, January, February, and March are always our biggest off-market contract months. This is Boise is very, very seasonal. A lot of this has to do with most people in CG in Collective Genius. They were saying their inbound leads were down by anywhere from 40 to 60% in Q3 and Q4. Why? A lot of it had to do with high interest rates and it being an election year. We still had a lot of outbound leads. So we didn't see that much of a decrease. Like, yeah, we did on our inbound channels, but we actually saw an increase in outbound leads. So that helped us a lot compared to other people during that hard time. But every single year we see this exact same thing, and there's a lot of reasons for it. But December, I think we ended at 17 contracts. Like I said before, at the beginning of the call, January we're at 15. We did 17 in January last year, so let's see if we could beat that. But this is what we see every year. It's actually completely contradictory to what we see on the retail market. And I would bet if your market isn't quite as seasonal as ours, they're more likely to actually align with each other than they are to be opposites. So take this with a grain of salt. This is just for our market. All right. Where do we suck at? So right now it takes us 63 inbound leads to get a contract overall. This is gross leads, right? So with also spam, anybody that enters a form into our website or calls us or whatever is counted here. We haven't gotten this year will be the year we finally do gross lead, net lead, and are able to track it more meaningfully. But it took us 11 leads to get an appointment attended and 9 to get an appointment set. Why is it more attended than set? Because we have cancellations, right? We have 2 out of every 11 people were canceling on us for inbound leads. And then we had to get 6 offers made or AKA appointments attended on inbound leads to get a contract. That's not very good. Industry leaders for inbound leads are anywhere from like 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 inbound lead appointments to contract. So about 30%, give or take. The best is probably Doug Hopkins out of Phoenix. They're like 40 to 50% because he actually is the one in all the TV ads and all the marketing, and he's the one going on appointments, and he has insane brand recognition because he spends over $1 million a month on TV ads alone. All the way down to us, 1 in 6, that's what, about 18%. So it's not very good. But if you can be in that 25% to 30% range, that's really solid, and you're going to get a really good ROI on your inbound lead stuff. Any questions on that? So for you guys, if you're better than this, that's good news. If you're worse than this, you might want to ask yourself some questions about the provider you're using. Am I using the sales script properly? Am I pre-qualifying my buyer or my sellers? Am I getting upfront agreements in the offer call? Am I letting people think about it? Am I sending DocuSigns without them being on a computer while I send the call? All these little things add to your conversion rate to improve on. Outbound leads. Yeah, this is more of a gauntlet, right? This is 200 leads to contract. That's a crap load. That is a crap load. We did a pretty bad job. It's coming later, but you'll see we did just a bad job at contacting our leads. We were really good at lead generation for outbound, but because we had a lot of turnover in the lead manager position, we just didn't have enough bandwidth to call on them all the time. So it took us 22 um, for each appointment excuse me, 22 for each appointment set, 29 for each appointment attended, again, because we had some cancellations. And then seven of those to equal a contract. It's a lot. It's a lot. But what's interesting, there should be a significantly higher delta between your inbound leads per contract, inbound lead appointments per contract, and outbound lead appointments per contract. Inbound leads should always close better, right? They're reaching out to you, they're qualified. They're always telling you, hey, I have a problem, come help me. For us, what we found is that's definitely true, but our biggest deals come from outbound because we have no competition, right? When people are filling out different web forms on both on PPL and PPC, that's kind of the shitty thing is oftentimes there's multiple investors going to that property and meeting with that seller. We don't get that with outbound, but it takes way more manpower, way more resources to get through all that riffraff that comes with outbound. So this is a game we played with our team to ask them how many uncontacted leads are in our database just to show people what the opportunity is because as investors we kind of become obsessed with the new lead coming in and the shiny thing, the new marketing channel, whatever, and we ignore our existing database. So we did a deep dive. We have about 5,300 contacted leads in our database. That means 5,300 people that we've contacted at any point in the last 2.5 years since we brought on Salesforce. We have 1,400 uncontacted leads in our database. So we could spend $0. We could spend $0 in the next 6 months and just work on those leads and get a crap load of contracts. So this is the message that you guys should be telling yourselves and to the team is like, what am I really attacking my database with the tenacity of follow-up that I need to? Does every single lead in the system that hasn't sold or didn't tell me to kick rocks or remove me from my list, do all of them have a defined next step? Is it clear in the notes what the next step for that lead is? And do I have a follow-up call scheduled with that lead? Every single person that's not dead. I don't know
Ryan,
anybody that's 100% there, right?
Ryan,
Yeah.
on the cold leads and dead leads, James is at his mastermind, but they had a guy who basically said to kick rocks, and they kept following up with him. Year and a half later, he gets a 4 pack of deals from one guy, and they're expecting it's like 120 grand or
Of
something. He's
course.
thinking, yeah,
Happens all the time.
yeah,
We had a deal in November. Yeah, it was November. It was a 42K assignment fee that was in our cold bucket.
yeah,
And for us, cold isn't, hey, they changed their mind. That's not even a cold for us. Cold is they told us they're not interested, right?
exactly.
So 100% agree, John. And what we forget is in order for it to be a lead to begin with, they responded favorably to us in some way. Can you guys hear that?
Hmm.
Can you guys hear that ringing? Or is that just
No,
me? Okay.
No, I can hear it.
In order for a lead to come into our system, they had to respond positively either to an outbound call or message, or obviously an inbound is they're filling out a form or whatever it is. So at some point, they showed at least some kind of interest in selling the property. Even if then they say, hey, you know what, we're not interested at all. There was something that the virtual assistant saw that they passed it through as an outbound lead. Or, of course, you get those inbound lead sellers that are classic. I didn't fill out the form. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, right. Okay. Those go into the cold. People think situations change all the time. The avatar of people, right? They always have health issues going on, money issues going on at any moment, divorce issues. At any moment, their situation changes and then boom, they're red hot. And so this is all a timing game, all a timing game. We finally got all of our text message automation completely built out in Salesforce. So we have everybody that we've been on an appointment with, AKA we've made an offer to. Those are called opportunities for us. And then everybody that's a lead. So they haven't been qualified yet to meet with us to receive an offer. And we have like 8 categories, 8 leads, 8 statuses for a lead, and then 8 statuses for an opportunity. So we have like 16 different statuses of what somebody in our system could be. And we have customized text sequences going out to them automatically from Salesforce now. And it is mind blowing when you see that in action, how many people reply and how many extra leads and deals and everything that you get from it. Because you're like, oh my God, my team can't even keep up with it. We had to shut it off. Literally, we had to shut it off because people were like, I'm getting called and texted back all day by people in our database. I don't know what to do. So then we had to, because we essentially broke it. We had to go back to the drawing board of like, how do we do this better? Because yeah, it was too much. But just an example, right, of we're always looking to the new shiny thing. We're always avoiding the boring monotony that comes with lead follow-up and lead management. So I'm sure that there's some kind of old leads in your database, Nick, that because or you, John, right? Old texting leads or old outbound leads or old inbound leads that you could upload into a list and have a VA text for you or do a text blast. Costs you almost nothing to do that.
Mhm.
So we went through this exercise. Uh, we determined we had something like 350 appointments in the database additional if we never got another lead into the system. So we actually had them take out a calculator and go through this, right, themselves instead of us telling them. And then it turned out to be like 59 contracts or something. I'm forgetting the actual numbers, but it was insane, right? We all have the same thing. As your database grows, we gotta work on what's there. So that's why when we say, gosh, can we grow again to 3.5 million to our 2025 target? Can we grow at the same clip that we did last year? This is part of like, yes, we can have this big vision as an entrepreneur, but until we have the data to actually show people the how, a lot of them get lost and they don't have full buy-in. But so whatever this, I think the action for you guys from this is what kind of exercise could I do here to really identify opportunity in my own database without spending any additional money? Can I spend a couple hours going through my CRM, even if it's by Excel spreadsheets and summing up columns or whatever? How many leads do I have? How many leads does it take me to make an offer? And then how many offers does it take for me to get one accepted? And then when you have those, then you can look at your whole database and you can be like, holy shit, there's a lot here. Love Ted Lasso. Um, yeah, we switched Salesforce CRMs, which had a huge cost savings. This is part of the auto text sequencing that we put in place that we announced with the team. We also showed the team some market inventory data and price decrease data to show them why the market is all of a sudden red hot for us right now in January for listed properties. Why is buyer activity all of a sudden high again after the holidays? And then we went through our actual rocks for the Q4 quarter, and we went through each one with different charts. So in 2023, our average deal size was 24K. In 2024, our average came out to 27 200. And we broke it out by quarter to see where we did well and where we did not. This is where you're going to see, of course, Q2 with the spring and summer months is always going to be the biggest, and Q1 is always going to be the smallest, or Q4. That's probably for every market. Um, we actually fell short. Our revenue target was 2.23 and we hit 1.94. But my message to the team is like, guys, if we're up and to the right, I don't care if we're not hitting our target. Like, are we doing everything in our power to get better? That's what our vision is and that's what our mission is. So, did we miss it? Yes. But our revenue in 2023 was 1.12. And we thought there was no way in hell that we could ever do 2.23 in just a year. Right? Well, look, we got damn close. And these are our revenues by quarter. Again, for us, Q4, we had our biggest deal in company history close. So that's why that one's bigger. Q2 is always going to be the biggest for revenue just because of the spring and summer selling season. We had profit. This is what a lot of people won't show you or won't talk about. So we made, as a business, we made, after all expenses, all salaries, all spend, everything, we made 252 grand profit for the year. Now I pay myself a salary as the business owner now for the first time. For the first time, I do now starting in November of 2024. I've actually never talked about that either. I have not paid myself. Sure, I've drawn from the account and paid myself dividends or whatever on profit, but I never actually had a formal way to pay myself because I was unclear in the early days about what I wanted to do with a company, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to scale or grow a team and hire people and have all the expenses that come with it. So this is after everything that I paid myself as well. This is company profit, and this is something for us to be damn proud of. But it didn't come without, I mean, Q1 we lost 100 grand, Q3 we lost money. A lot of it's a roller coaster. So even though we have people and systems and process and whatever, we still feel like it's quite a bit of a roller coaster. And if you guys are solopreneurs or have a couple hires or VAs or whatever, you're also going to feel this roller coaster of income. It sucks. It's not fun. Any questions on this? Our target was actually 668, by the way. So we had a pretty big miss. We spent a lot of money inefficiently. Like I
Like
told you
on
guys, we spent,
marketing channels, Ryan?
yeah, like we in 2024, PPC was not profitable for us, right? So that's one. But again, looking at the leading metrics that tell the full story, I can see that it's going to work for us. And
Yeah.
we're going to be profitable, right? Because I have the data to show it. I don't have to guess. We also had a lot of
Still
turnover.
pretty new,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think we brought it on in July.
Yeah. So I mean, you're barely 6 months, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other big thing too is we had a ton of staff turnover. We fired like I'd have to count, but I don't really want to. But I think we fired over 10 people on our sales team.
Yeah.
Um, and then we lost our biggest closer. He quit due to reasons that I he doesn't even know. Um, but every time you lose somebody, if you don't have a replacement already going, the hiring process is going to take you a couple months to find somebody. It's going to be 6 months of training before they start producing results. You're talking like a year realistically before you recoup your investment into that person in the business. When it works, it's a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But that definitely played a part is we didn't have Tori for half the year. So we really didn't have anybody doing lead generation in terms of hiring like we did lead generation for the business with sellers. So of course we were behind. We had people quit. We weren't prepared for people to quit. We were always reactive instead of proactive. That's going to change this year for the first time.
Does that have any reflection on, I mean, obviously that's revenue, but do you also track like properties you took down that you increase equity and net worth? Because I'm sure that's a whole, I mean, these are only properties that you've turned and made a liquid profit on this year, right?
Correct. Yeah, so I don't count those, Nick, because I have my own personal goals as well that I track. So yeah, we kept a couple rentals, and so that contributes to my net worth and everything. Um, but to be completely honest with you, my perception of that has changed too, because when I realized a good salesperson can generate $1 million a year in revenue, I think I only kept two or three properties last year, and only because either the offer we got as a wholesale was shit or the deal structure was such that we couldn't monetize it any other way than it being a rental. So it's kind of like it wasn't like we were taking the pick of the litter. I did that with one fourplex. I lied. I We bought one fourplex that was a screamer of a deal. We bought it at like 600 and it was worth 850 or something. Fancy that. It was a guy that I had bought another fourplex from 4 years ago, one of my first deals.
Nice.
But besides that, our number one goal this year was let's get top line revenue liquid because we want to prioritize bringing on salespeople and like having money at our disposal to reinvest into marketing and people. I had the direct opposite approach in 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, and I bought way too many rentals. So, lesson learned on my end from what it's worth. A great property like that can make me, I don't know, if I get it at a deep enough discount, it can maybe make me 100 grand per property. I got a refi and I make some cash flow or whatever. I'm talking about like additions to my net worth. I can probably like add 100K to my net worth per property, roughly. If it's a sub two, I can't do that, right? Then it's all about the cash flow and long term. But if I sold that property and I took that same 100K, or then it'd be 70 after realtor fees and commissions or whatever, and I put that into people, I'm getting way, way higher of an ROI, way higher. And I'm getting a lot of my time back too, not initially. That's the part that sucks. Not initially. So my perception has changed immensely over the last year and a half to 2 years. A lot of it had to do with getting kicked in the teeth in 2022 when interest rates changed. And I was like, I think I'm I think I'm too lopsided on keeping these as rentals because I was super cash poor. So that's just my own experience. Any other questions on that? Okay. So we signed 127 contracts. 122 was our goal. In 2023, we only signed 87. So we were down a little, quite a lot. Last year was good for us. There's no coincidence that if you look at, I'll come back to that. If you look at appointments set, we slightly exceeded our targets, which went right in line with how many we got under contract, right? Go figure. So that's why for us, yes, contracts signed is the sexy thing and contracts closed. But our number one predictor for us of whether we're going to have a good stretch of months or bad is how many appointments do we have scheduled? How many offers have we made? Always. Always, always, always. Same thing, right? We had 73, what did I say? 72 or 73% growth from 2023 to 2024 in terms of top line revenue. Well, I don't have a calculator on me, but if I were to do, 1100 divided by 727, you'd probably get a pretty strong ratio there that's correlated. Same thing with contracts, 87 to 127. These are the types of contracts we did. We wanted to share it with our team just to give them a high level understanding about why we do what we do. Because our market's highly seasonal, we always do way more sub twos and seller finances in Q3 and Q4 because there's a lot of people that just can't sell in the market and prices are usually dipping a bit. And then completely reverse in Q1 and Q2, we do a lot more novations, flips, and installments and cash deals. Any questions on those? All right. Appointments attended. Yeah, not a ton to talk about there other than we missed our cancellation rate. Our goal was to only have one out of every five appointments canceled. We ended up at like one out of every 2.8. Um, roughly, not quite a third, but it was, or I'm saying that wrong. Our target was to only have 20% appointments canceled. I think we ended up at like 31% appointments canceled. So that's a tough one. Every time you bring new people on the team and they're setting appointments, they have no idea what in the hell a qualified lead or a qualified seller is. So we err on the side of like, just build the muscle memory, set it, and then we'll evaluate if it's worth going on. And they're also not doing things like confirming, okay, is there anything that would prevent you from attending this? Because we have a lot of other seller appointments on the calendar. We want to make sure, the time is worth it for you and for us. So will you be there? Okay, great. We're going to send you an invite. We're going to send you a calendar invite. We're going to send you a text reminder. There's all these little things that you can do to get better at that. We were actually a lot better at that this year than we were last year. Last year was really bad. You guys should be measuring this one for sure. It's inbound lead appointment percentage. So our target as a company is 40%. That means 4 out of every 10 inbound leads that come in, we're setting an appointment or making an offer. If you're at that 40% mark, the marketing channel is going to be good for you. No doubt. We're not forcing it, right? Like, okay, a property's listed on the MLS and it comes in as a PPC lead. That's not one we'll still probably ask about their situation and their timeline. And hey, do you need to sell fast? Hey, it's going to cost you a discount. We have to be able to make a profit. We're not going to throw it in the trash. But that's not somebody we're going to set an appointment with. These are like actually people that meet our criteria, our avatar. 4 out of 10 is that magic number. So I think this is a good tactical piece for you guys to actually look. How many leads have come in for me the last couple of months, and how many have I made offers or appointments set? And see what that percentage is. Yeah, this was the biggest gut punch for us as a company. Is we only contacted 67% of our leads in our entire database in Q4. That means a third out of all of our leads that came in Q4, we have not even contacted for outbound. 3 out of every 10 for inbound, we also haven't contacted. But you get some more spams and stuff in there for inbound that make up a larger piece of the pie. So also not good. You want to be like, our target's 95%, so only 1 out of every 20 people isn't getting contacted. Industry standard is about 1 out of every 10 for inbound. So what we notice is a lead would come in. We have multiple people reaching out within the first 3 minutes. We're doing a really good job with urgency there. And then it just drops off like a cliff. Like sometimes we don't even get multiple touch points in the same day if they don't answer on that first triple tap attempt or text attempt. And then in the days that follow, we do almost zero follow up with those inbound leads.
Why is that, Ryan?
Yeah, we have the opposite problem of most companies where we have too many leads, right? So like I was saying before, we turned on some pretty sweet automation in Salesforce where with auto texting everybody, so the guys were just drowning. Like I got 50 unread messages in my inbox. Crap, an inbound lead just came in. Crap, I'm setting an appointment now. They just easily overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And us as business owners are better at stopping and taking a second to think about, okay, what are my priorities? Inbound lead, more qualified.
Right.
Outbound lead, less qualified. But they actually don't operate like that. A lot of them operate with what's in front of me. If I'm getting a notification that somebody texted me, I'm going to reply to that right now.
Yeah, and you don't need to be Johnny on the spot with those as much.
Right. Yeah. So this is a big reason why when we looked at this, it was like not only are we feeling overwhelmed, but our data says that we're completely overwhelmed. So we need to turn off some of that text automation, figure out a better way to do it, to trickle it in and staff up so we can actually handle this massive wave. This is also why we haven't brought on direct mail. We got rid of TV and haven't brought that back on yet. We will eventually, but like we're not hitting our contact rate. Like trust me, I want to add all the marketing channels we can, but this says we can't handle it yet as a team, and I'd just be wasting money. Yeah, this is about our cancellation rate. Um, I lied. We were 28% cancellation rate. So we weren't as bad as I thought. I said 31. We were 28%. So we were closer. Then we had a salesperson of the year that we announced, which is pretty cool. He gets a paid trip. He's a lead manager for us. Uh, Coincidentally, he's the only person on our entire sales team that's been with us longer than 6 months. So he got it by default. But he's also really good, right? So yeah, he contributed to 23 contracts in about just shy of a 6 month period. He set 233 appointments himself. So older profile. He's in Ohio. He's virtual. Definitely a no filter kind of guy, dropping F bombs in the Slack channel constantly. I mean, he's as advertised. So cool. That's all I got, guys. What questions or takeaways do you have? I don't know if any of that was helpful.
No, that was great. I suck at KPIs and I'm trying to not anymore, but I don't like how often are you tracking this? How are you keeping this? Like, what's a good way to start getting on top of this so we actually have any idea what we're doing at the end of the year?
Yeah, so start small. Um, we weren't ready for Salesforce until we had crap loads of data. So we actually did this out of Mojo for a long time. We just had different tags in Mojo that we would click appointment set, contract signed, um, future follow up, hot lead, warm lead. So we had like 7 or 8 tags that we would use, cold lead, dead lead, and that was our data, right? So we could click on appointment set, export it, and we would know how many appointments we set, and then it came with timestamps. So whatever system you're using, what are you using, Nick?
I am using Freedom Soft.
Okay. So for you, if you're measuring appointments set, offers made, total leads, and then offers accepted, if you get those dialed in, that's a great way to start, right? So how many leads am I generating? How many of those am I converting to appointments? From those appointments, how many am I making offers? And then of those offers, how many are getting accepted?
Okay.
And you'll learn a lot because then you can, once you do that exercise, then you can do it per marketing channel and it'll be relatively the same. But because a lead came in as an inbound lead or versus an outbound lead, you'll be able to, or if you don't, you can start switching how the lead comes in, what it's tagged as to be able to classify as such. And then you can see per marketing channel, like roughly what your stats are.
Okay,
And I
cool.
would, for you guys, I would look at it quarterly. You don't need to look at it like every day or every week or every month, but look at it quarterly.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
John, how are you with your targets?
Well, I need to track the like on one of our calls we were talking about the appointment set thing. I need to get better at that. Um, and I think I added that button. So that makes it easier in Mojo just to click that.
Perfect.
Uh, yeah, because it makes it easier. Like some of those when I was going back looking at the different counties for fast home offer, LA is so much better for me than the other ones. But it's a lot easier to know that for sure if you have all that data, obviously. And I might let it go for like another month, but honestly, I don't know. I might take off the other ones and just do LA. So
Nice. So KPIs, data, I also think there's a massive opportunity. The more leads you buy, the more business you do existing in your database without any additional spend. I can't emphasize that enough. So come up with some kind of plan. It can even be a Google sheet of like, how often do I try to contact, do I mass text or mass call the cold tag? Quarterly. Great. How often do I mass text or call the follow-up tag or the warm lead tag, right? Weekly, daily for hot leads, right? So like something that simple can help give you and your team, or even if you're working with VAs, direction on what to do. Because we all know when we step into our day and it's controlled chaos, we have a lot of things vying for our attention. A lot of times we're just not operating on any kind of process or anything efficiently and effectively. We're constantly switch tasking. We're very inefficient with our time. So do that. Your team will not like that as well, by the way. Your team wants the shiny things. It's hard to call somebody 9 times and then for them to believe the 10th time is going to be the one that produces the appointment or the contract or whatever, right? We've all been there.
yeah, James, I was like, oh damn, I'm gonna have to call my colds then after he was telling me
Yeah,
about that. Or get someone else to. I don't know. You could get like a cheap VA or something to reach out, but
totally.
yeah. Because I just put him in there. I don't even think about him anymore, you know,
Yeah.
which is not the way to do it. So
But think about it, guys. The people that we are working with and the problems that we're solving, these people's situation is not getting better by
no,
ignoring it. It's getting worse.
yeah, yeah,
But I know it can be really hard for us when we're getting ghosted to try dialing from a different number, to have somebody else call from a different number from, say something different, pretend to be a new investor, skip trace them and contact the relatives. Like this stuff matters. And if you're going to pay 200, 300, 400, $500 a lead and then not do that, you're really doing yourself a disservice. You're just focused on the wrong things. I mean, for you guys for inbound leads, if you have people that have ghosted you, skip trace them and call their relatives. Hey, I've been
yeah.
getting really worried. So and so was talking to me about XYZ problem and I was helping them save their house, get on to their next thing, help their mom with the hoarding situation, get onto her RV to tour the world or right? And they haven't responded. and I'm getting really worried. Have you heard anything from them? Or a really good text to send. Hey, I just drove by and you might want to call me. Oh boy, what does that mean? They're
That's
gonna
a good
call
one.
you. Yeah. That always gets a response. Yeah. And guess what? They can be mad when they call you. That's fine. Very few of them are, but they can be mad when they call us back. That's fine. At least we got a hold of them. At least we know what to do with the damn lead. So this is the something everybody struggles with is like, I don't want to bother my leads. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to piss them off. I don't like people yelling at me. Well, if they're being completely silent, how do you know what to label them? They could be in a really, really bad place and be going through a really bad problem. Tomorrow they could sign with somebody else and you would never know.
That happened to me on one of my follow-up leads. I looked it up
Of
earlier
course.
this or last week. It was like their mom died literally a week after they're on monthly follow-up, and the guy must have been perfect timing. The mom died. He called him and he got like 35K on it. I saw. So
Exactly. I mean, these problems never go away, by the way. There's
yeah.
millions of dollars in our CRM that we've lost, right? So, but I think we're always focused on like what new thing can I add or new thing can I spend on or talk to, and a lot of times we're just totally missing the ball with all the money we've already spent.
Mhm.